Just a few months ago, former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett publicly declared that Turkey is the new Iran, and that Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is building a hostile Sunni axis designed to encircle Israel. Many analysts dismiss this as campaign rhetoric from a man that is running for office. But behind that headline sits a $3 billion missile production investment, a ballistic missile that can reach Tel Aviv, and a NATO ally whose president just referenced his military interventions in Libya and Azerbaijan, while warning there is no reason that he can't do the same in Israel. So today, we break down the structural mechanics of Turkey's defense expansion, the emerging four-nation security bloc that could reshape the entire region, and the impossible treaty dynamics this creates for the United States. My name is Nick, and this is Coin Bureau Finance. Now let's start by looking at where Naftali Bennett sits on the Israeli political chessboard right now. Bennett is leading his Bennett 2026 party in a serious comeback campaign, polling at approximately 19 to 24 Knesset seats and sitting within striking distance of Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud heading into elections expected no later than October 2026. He was also the target of a foiled Iranian-backed assassination plot in March 2026, which dramatically elevated his security credentials. And his specific framing of Turkey as an existential threat is viewed by some Israeli analysts, including those at the Mitvamar Institute, as a deliberate strategy to outflank Netanyahu on the right. But the underlying data about Turkey's military trajectory is independently verifiable regardless of who is talking about it. And that data paints a picture that deserves serious examination. The diplomatic deterioration between Israel and Turkey has been accelerating at a pace that goes far beyond normal political friction. Turkey's foreign ministry recently labeled Netanyahu as, quote, the Hitler of our time, while Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, responded by calling Erdogan a, quote, paper tiger. An Istanbul court has also indicted 35 senior Israeli officials, including Netanyahu himself, on charges of crimes against humanity and genocide related to the October 2025 flotilla interception, with prosecutors seeking cumulative prison sentences ranging from 1,102 to 4,596 years. A few days earlier, on the 7th of April, 3 armed gunmen in tactical gear attacked a building housing the Israeli consulate in Istanbul, opening fire on police checkpoints for several minutes. One attacker was killed and 2 were captured, and Turkish authorities subsequently detained approximately 200 suspects in a nationwide anti-ISIS operation. Both Israel and Turkey jointly condemned the attack as, quote, terrorism, which tells you something about the complexity of this relationship. Israel's foreign ministry even praised the Turkish security response. But just 5 days later, on the 12th of April, Erdogan stood before the International Asia Political Parties Conference in Istanbul and stated, quote, just as we entered Karabakh, just as we entered Libya, we might do similar to them. There is no reason not to do it. His government subsequently claimed that their statement was taken out of context and that reports characterizing his remarks as threatening an invasion were, quote, entirely unfounded. And this is where the mechanics underneath the rhetoric becomes critical, because Turkey is not just talking, it's also building. Turkey maintains NATO's second largest military force by active personnel, trailing only behind the United States, with an estimated 355 to 550,000 active service members. Its 2026 defense and security budget stands at $27.34 billion, a 31.6% increase over 2025, representing roughly 2.33% of GDP, with projections climbing to 3.2% by 2028. And Turkey also hosts over 3,500 defense companies, more than the combined total across 29 other European NATO members. Its defense and aerospace exports reached $10 billion in 2025 alone, a 48% year-over-year increase. And the centerpiece of this expansion is Rocketstan, Turkey's primary missile manufacturer, which secured over $10 billion in new orders in 2025, serving nearly 50 countries. Rocketstan's total infrastructure investment program amounts to $3 billion, of which a third has been completed and inaugurated, including what is described as Europe's largest warhead manufacturing plant at its Lalahan facility. But the program that Israeli analysts are watching most closely is the Typhoon ballistic missile. The Typhoon Block 4 entered serial production in 2026 with reported ranges exceeding 1,500 kilometers. And with the distance from Turkey's southern border to Tel Aviv at roughly 1,000 kilometers, this means the Typhoon can reach Israeli territory with considerable range to spare. Turkish defense sources classify it as capable of reaching speeds exceeding Mach 5, though independent verification of that hypersonic claim remains limited. And a larger missile system, widely assessed to be the Chenk medium-range ballistic missile, was displayed alongside the Typhoon in 2026, signaling development well beyond the Typhoon's existing capability. And this military expansion is occurring at precisely the moment when a massive regional vacuum has opened up. Iran's influence across the Middle East collapsed following the fall of Syria's Bashar al-Assad in December 2024, the degradation of Hezbollah during the 2025 conflict, and the US and Israeli military campaign against Iran's nuclear infrastructure that began on the 28th of February 2026. Iran's land bridge to Hezbollah through Syria was severed, its proxy architecture was severely damaged, and multiple Gulf states that previously maintained a working relationship with Tehran have now turned hostile after Iranian retaliatory strikes hit Gulf territory, and Turkey has moved into that vacuum with remarkable speed. In August 2025, Turkey and the new Syrian transitional government signed a formal military cooperation agreement covering counterterrorism, cybersecurity, and logistics. Turkey backed the forces that toppled Assad, maintains a military presence in northwestern Syria, and is pursuing a centralized, Ankara-friendly Syrian state that prevents Kurdish autonomy along its border. And Turkey's ambitions extend far beyond Syria. Now, if you want to stay informed about how these structural shifts are reshaping global markets, then you should be reading the Coin Bureau Finance newsletter. It's absolutely free, and we break down the key moves across geopolitics, markets, macro, and monetary policy, so you never miss what actually matters. Just click the link in the description or scan this QR code on your screen. And now, back to the emerging alliance that is redrawing the strategic map of the Middle East. On March 29, 2026, the foreign ministers of Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Pakistan met in Islamabad in what The Guardian described as, quote, the embryo for a new order designed to curb Israeli and Iranian dominance after the war. And this is not an isolated diplomatic photo opportunity. It followed a September 2025 Saudi-Pakistani Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement that mirrored NATO's Article 5, stating that any aggression against either country shall be considered an aggression against both. It followed Turkey, Saudi, and Turkey-Egypt reapproachments formalized in 2025. It followed a March 2026 four-nation foreign ministry meeting in Riyadh, where Turkey's foreign minister, Hakan Fidan, explicitly described the framework as, quote, a platform for greater cooperation in the defense industry and broader defense matters. And on the 11th of April, Pakistan deployed fighter jets and military forces to Saudi Arabia under the Mutual Defense Pact, the first operational test of this agreement. The combined population of these four nations approaches 500 million. Saudi Arabia brings financial leverage and crude oil pricing power. Egypt brings demographic weight as the most populous Arab state. Pakistan brings a nuclear deterrent. And Turkey brings NATO-grade defense technology, an expanding indigenous weapons industry, and recent combat experience across multiple theaters. Netanyahu himself acknowledged this alignment in February 2026, announcing plans for a counter-alliance he called hexagonal, a framework involving India, Greece, and Cyprus, explicitly naming the Turkey-Pakistan-Saudi axis as a threat alongside Iran. And this is where the structural paradox becomes genuinely extraordinary. Turkey is scheduled to host the 2026 NATO Leaders Summit in Ankara on the 7th and 8th of July. The same country whose president referenced past military interventions while discussing Israel, whose courts have indicted the Israeli prime minister for genocide, will be the host nation of the Western world's premier security gathering. Turkey simultaneously hosts Incirlik Air Base, one of the facilities where US nuclear weapons are stationed under NATO's nuclear sharing arrangement. It also hosts the Allied Land Command in Izmir, and it supplied drones to Ukraine and blocked Russian naval reinforcements through the Bosphorus under the Montreux Convention. And it is simultaneously building a regional security platform with nations that explicitly seek to counterbalance Israeli and American strategic dominance. The treaty dilemma this creates is almost paradoxical in its complexity. NATO's Article 5 covers defense against attack, not offensive operations, meaning Turkey initiating military action against Israel would not trigger collective defense. But Israeli retaliation striking Turkish territory could theoretically invoke those obligations, creating a scenario where the United States faces a contradictory commitment to a NATO treaty ally and its closest Middle Eastern strategic partner simultaneously. Former US counterterrorism official Joe Kent publicly argued the US might consider withdrawing from NATO specifically to avoid being constrained in precisely this scenario, which is a fringe position but illustrative of how seriously some in Washington view this contradiction. And this begs the question, is Turkey actually the new Iran? Or is this a mischaracterization that could become a self-fulfilling prophecy? The counter-arguments are substantial and deserve equal weight. Turkey lacks Iran's decades-built proxy network. There is no Turkish equivalent to Hezbollah, no Houthi-style naval disruption capability, no embedded Iraqi militia infrastructure. Turkey's influence operates through state-driven military deployments and defense exports, not ideologically motivated transnational militant networks. And Turkey has no nuclear weapons program, which was Iran's foundational deterrence instrument. And the historical pattern of Erdogan's rhetoric consistently exceeding his actions is well documented. After the 2010 Mavi Marmara incident, which produced the most severe rupture in Turkish-Israeli relations to that point, Turkey ultimately dropped legal warrants against Israeli officials in 2016 as part of a normalization deal. Turkey's total trade ban on Israel announced in May 2024 never fully materialized. Israeli Central Bureau of Statistics data shows $176 million in Turkish exports reached Israel in just the first 2 months of 2026 through third country routing. And Turkish defense contractor Repcon USA continued filling a $151.8 million US emergency munitions contract destined for Israel, meaning Turkish industrial capacity materially supported the Israeli war effort during the so-called embargo. Chatham House analyst Yossi Meckelberg characterized Erdogan's rhetoric as, quote, so much noise, while another analyst described Erdogan as, quote, more pragmatic and less ideological than the Iranian leadership. Fitch Ratings, meanwhile, assessed that the risk of Turkey being pulled directly into the conflict remains low, and the economic constraints on Turkish adventurism are severe. On the 10th of April, Fitch revised Turkey's sovereign credit outlook from positive to stable, an unscheduled review citing rising external vulnerabilities and geopolitical risk. Turkey's foreign exchange reserves fell from approximately $210 billion at the end of February to $162 billion by early April, a decline of nearly $50 billion in 6 weeks spent defending the lira. Official inflation sits at 30.87%, while independent estimates from the ENAG group place it at closer to 54%. The central bank overnight lending rate stands at 40%, and the lira recently hit a record low of roughly 44.5 per dollar. Meanwhile, the Israeli shekel hit a 30-year high at approximately 3.05 per dollar around the same time. And that currency divergence alone tells you how markets are currently pricing the relative risk between these two economies. Turkey also imports approximately 90% of its energy needs, meaning it is acutely vulnerable to the oil price shock from the Iran conflict. The finance minister actually described the situation as, quote, the largest supply shock since World War II. A direct military confrontation would completely demolish the orthodox economic stabilization program that has been the cornerstone of Turkey's financial strategy. The INSS, Israel's Institute for National Security Studies, published a report titled, quote, Turkey is not Iran, but it is a threat, back in November 2025. And that title captures the structural reality more precisely than either side's rhetoric allows. Turkey is not replicating Iran's revolutionary model, but it is systematically filling in the strategic vacuum Iran has left behind. The old regional architecture defined by a weakened Iran balanced against Israel and American power is being replaced by something fundamentally different. A conventional NATO member state with a growing indigenous missile program, expanding regional alliances, and the second largest standing army in the Western Alliance is positioning itself as the dominant Muslim-majority power in the Middle East. Whether that positioning translates into direct military confrontation or remains in the grey zone of diplomatic posturing, proxy maneuvering in Syria and defense industry competition will likely depend on economic constraints more than ideological conviction. The geopolitical risk premium on this region has been permanently repriced, and the financial markets are already reflecting that. The world is changing fast. But what do you think? Will Turkey's economic vulnerabilities keep Erdogan's military threats firmly in the realm of rhetoric? Or is the emerging Sunni axis genuinely capable of reshaping the balance of power in the Middle East? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to understand how the Iran conflict reshaped global energy markets and what that means for structural inflation heading into 2027, then check out our video on that right over here. That's all from me today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Nick, signing off.